Inspector Amaia Salazar is back for the final installment of the Baztan Trilogy, Offering to the Storm, and it's available now on Netflix. Is this a fitting conclusion for the mystery? Amaia Salazar investigates some dark crimes in her hometown and also has to confront issues from her past. This movie picks up right where the second one left off, and if you haven't seen that one, this one's not going to have much of an impact on you, and in fact it might be kind of confusing and probably bad, because it's just not going to make a lot of sense with all of the relationships and the tension that exists between the characters. If you haven't seen that second movie, The Legacy of the Bones, and you want a review of it, I've linked it up in the corner here. Now, I watched the second movie before I watched the first one because I didn't realize it was part of a trilogy, so that was a little confusing at the get-go. But that being said, and now that I've seen all three of them, I can safely say that the first one, The Invisible Guardian, you don't necessarily have to watch if you're going to watch 2 and 3. Does it help? Absolutely. And it does establish the characters a little bit, but it doesn't give you nearly as much character development as I was hoping for. In this last movie, there are some references and call-outs to the first movie, but they're not deep. And so you don't absolutely have to have them. I mean, if you didn't know about the references, like if you didn't see the first one, then you wouldn't even know they were references. And you would just kind of be like, oh, what are they talking about? Well, okay, it kind of is talking about something that I haven't seen. Whatever, moving on. Now in this last one, there are still things that have been plaguing the entire series. And that is some of the lack of character development and explanation of certain characters, especially relationships. One in particular is an FBI agent in the United States who Amaia has trained with and is kind of her mentor. I mean, that's really all we get. She has a couple of random phone calls each time with the guy, and that's about it. I thought in the first one, seeing the second one first and then the first one, that maybe I'd missed something, and so that the first one would give me a lot more explanation as to their relationship, their background. No, it doesn't. And in this one, they kind of tease at it a little bit, and they bring up the relationship again. And I'm not talking about a romantic relationship. I'm just talking about a professional one. But they open up a storyline, and then they never resolve it. They don't even revisit it. And so at that point, I think if you're going to do that, just don't bring it up at all. I mean, I understand in this context of this third movie, they do it for a very specific reason to what it does to us as an audience. But outside of that, what follows is still important and still will hit you. And so we didn't necessarily need that little bit of it. I still really like Marta Itura as Amaia. She's strong and she's bullheaded, but she's also crafty, determined, and even vulnerable. She's got to deal with a crap ton of family drama in addition to the cases that she's working, and just how they interweave and how her past comes into play, and just in this small town of her hometown that seems to flood every time because it constantly rains. That's just an aside there. Oh my goodness, the amount of rain this place gets is crazy. But she does it all convincingly. She plays her character, all of those traits, just really well. They come across so well on the screen, and so you're drawn to her and you feel what she's feeling, and you just definitely empathize with her. Like the first two movies, the idea of a supernatural element is present in this one also. So is it more of the idea that is influencing the behaviors, or is there actually a supernatural force at work? I'm not going to tell you. The drama and the emotion in this are pretty high. And the content in this one, and really I guess the entire trilogy, is really dark. I mean, the focus of the crimes that Amaia is investigating are pretty disturbing. The opening scene of this movie is unsettling and disturbing also. I mean, geez. What a way to open the film. This has some pretty good momentum to it, but the intensity really builds in the latter half of the film. And there is certainly drama and excitement throughout, but man, as they reach that climax, it's really exciting. I mean, you feel the urgency coming from all of the characters as they're working to solve the case. I loved it because it was palpable. I really enjoy the mystery of everything that's going on in this movie and the entire series. I mean, it's able to hook me in and keep me going and surprise me too. Sometimes the narrative feels a little convoluted, but for the majority of it, it's easy to follow and it does make sense. If you watched all three movies back to back, you'd be investing about 6.5 hours. So is it worth sitting down? I mean, is there an actual satisfying conclusion when you get to the end of the third movie? I think that it is. I mean, they give us a good resolution. We get enough answers to feel really satisfied. But one thing that I did like is they left a couple of hanging threads there that might be pulled later on to really open up a new storyline. And I find that exciting because I'm enjoying the characters and I want to see more of them. So if they decide to open up different storylines with these characters, outstanding. And there may already be some storylines because these are based on novels and I haven't read them. So I'm completely ignorant in that area of the storytelling. But hey, if there are and they're going to make them, I'm there. So make sure you watch the second movie before the third. I mean, you can watch the first one if you want and watch them in order. It's The Invisible Guardian, Legacy of the Bones, and then Offering to the Storm. But when you do, be prepared for an extremely dark tone of a movie. Then you're going to want to settle in for this last one because it is 2 hours and 19 minutes long, but it didn't feel long to me. I mean, it felt just like it moved along at a really good pace. I was entertained the entire time, sucked into the drama, sucked into the mystery, and just taken by surprise more than once. There is sex, nudity, profanity, and some graphic violence. I give Offering to the Storm 4 out of 5 couches. Are you a fan of the series? Which of them is your favorite film? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.